Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Emilie Wilson, and I'm here with Sanos Anti-Aging Medicine and Colleen McHorney, who is our health coach. And I'd love to take a moment and have her introduce herself to you.
Hi, Emily. Hello, everyone. My name is Colleen McHorney, and I am a certified health and life coach, and have a background in yoga and working with uh, trauma-related disorders and mood management.
Awesome. Colleen and I are really excited to do this video for you guys. We wanted to take a moment and talk about the many ways that stress, especially living with chronic stress, can impair your whole life, basically, and especially touching on certain things like digestion, sleep, and then metabolic function. And then Colleen's going to lead us through a quick exercise to help shift us out of impaired physiology and impaired body function and help us get back to optimal body function so that we can enjoy better digestion, better sleep, and better support our metabolism. So first, to touch on a little bit of the science behind it. How does stress impair our physiology? From the perspective of digestion, stress will actually shift us away from being able to digest our food. So digestion is ruled by a branch of our autonomic nervous system. It's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And when we're in chronic stress, we can't get into parasympathetic mode. We're stuck in what's called sympathetic or fight or flight mode. And what's more, when we're in chronic stress, our body's levels of stress hormones, they rise and rise. And those stress hormones can actually cause impaired GI function and a lot of inflammation in our GI tract. So there are a lot of ways that chronic stress can impair digestion. As far as sleep goes, chronic stress will definitely affect and alter our hormones from many perspectives. That's thyroid hormones, adrenal hormones, and then even the sex hormones like female and male hormones, like our estrogens and progesterone. And then from a metabolic perspective, chronic stress does a lot to shut down our metabolic rate. Chronic stress will raise our blood glucose levels, so raise our blood sugar levels and make us more prone to conditions like diabetes and prediabetes. It also steals energy away from our body's capacity to burn our food and turn it into clean fuel. So over time, one of the other effects of living with chronic stress is that our metabolic rate just shuts down. So what are the consequences of this? Some of the consequences include chronically poor digestion. So a lot of people experience things like constipation, gas and bloating. Appetite typically changes, so people stop feeling hungry for a while and then they might switch and feel really ravenous, like they're never satisfied. And they just go back and forth between having no appetite at all and then having an appetite that they almost can't control. As far as sleep goes, a lot of people start to feel what's called wired but tired. So they're chronically on edge and stressed out. So during the day, this can cause a lot of fatigue because they're not sleeping at night. So they're tired all day, but at night when their head hits the pillow, they can't shift into a more calmed and relaxed state. So they're what's called wired. So their head hits the pillow, all of a sudden they're up, their mind's racing, and they can't fall asleep. So the overall consequence of that is losing their ability to attain restful and restorative sleep every night. And finally, from a metabolic perspective, the consequence of living with chronic stress is that your metabolic rate will actually start to go down. And so a lot of people see this as having, weight that they can't lose. So they may be feeling like they're not eating a lot of food, but they're still not losing weight. And in fact, oftentimes they're gaining weight. And so this is a real problem that builds up over time. And especially over the years, a lot of women will say that they're noticing this pattern more and more frequently. Colleen, is there anything that you want to add to that? Anything that you've experienced or heard from people before we dive into your exercise?
Yeah, thanks for asking. No, it's very, very well put, and such a common experience for so many of us. So I love that you're just normalizing it, and then looking at then part of how I can help is to support people and step in and say, okay, now this is how we shift this. This is how we shift gears, because we can. And with very simple techniques and tools and a little bit of effort on our part, yes, and some habit change pieces, but we are totally empowered to shift and interrupt this chronic stress response and get into that calming branch of the nervous system.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. And the breath that we're going to do, I find that it's very accessible to most people. A lot of the breathing techniques that I use with people are based in evidence-based yogic tools. And this one is very, it's simple, which is why I like to use it. And it doesn't really have any contraindications. So this is something that really any of us could try. Nice. Should we go ahead and try a breathing piece right now? Is there anything else you wanted to?
I don't think so. I'd love to go ahead and try the exercise that you have for us.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, yeah. This is, and you might know this already. This is a breath that you're counting. So we're counting the length of the inhale. We'll do a little bit of a pause, and then we'll count the length of the exhale. Basically, we're trying to lengthen the exhale just a little bit longer, which turns on parasympathetic branch.
Awesome.
And one of the definitions that I like about stress, and I think this came from Jen Sincero, and she said that stress is like when we make that really unhelpful decision to stop breathing. Awesome. So we make the really unhelpful decision to stop breathing. So if we can actually bring our awareness to the breath for a little bit, lengthen the exhale, which turns on that calming branch, we can really shift things in about 2 minutes. It really only takes about 2 minutes of breathing. So it's not like you need to set up, a 30-minute meditation and, which is the way I love it, because you can do this really anytime, anywhere. It's very accessible.
Nice. That's so great, because so many people don't have 30 minutes in a day.
Right.
Right.
Our lives are very full, and we're in that pace, right?
Totally.
So this is a practice that I'll just guide us through, so you can relax, you can settle in.
Can I ask you a quick question before we get started?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting right now with my legs crossed. Like, should I be in a different position for that?
Good question. Yeah, I'm actually sitting with my legs crossed too, so I'm sitting on the couch. But if you're already sitting cross-legged and it's comfortable for you, great, you can stay there. Or if you're sitting in a chair and you want to put your feet flat on the floor, it's very grounding, right? To just kind of get a sense of the feet on the floor. Either way, you really just want to have a comfortable lift and some length in your spine. So you're really sitting up tall. And in this practice, as we go through it, just take this at your level of comfort. Really, you shouldn't be straining or forcing in the breath. So if you notice that you have that, you're kind of like over-efforting, it's okay. Just back out for a little bit and total permission to stop at any point too, and just hang out and breathe on your own, and then you can come back and join us. We'll really just take about 2 minutes. And then you'll be able to see on the other side of breathing, like on the other side of this 2 minutes, if you experience any shifts, if you notice anything different for your mood or your energy levels, or just how you're experiencing yourself on the other side of the breath. Oftentimes there's a really sweet shift. Sometimes it's very subtle, but oftentimes people feel a lot more calm on the other side of this.
Great. I know I could use that.
Yeah. Yes, please. More of that. Great. Okay, so we'll just begin, and I'll count this. We're going to be inhaling for 4. We'll pause for 4, and then we'll exhale for a count of 6.
Great.
Generally, this takes a few rounds before you get comfortable in the cadence or the rhythm of it. So just hang in there, be patient with yourself, and and we'll see how you're feeling in a couple minutes. So you are welcome to practice this with your eyes open or closed, whatever feels more comfortable to you in the moment. Okay, I'm going to have my eyes open, but feel free to close your eyes too during this practice.
Okay? Yeah, I think I'm going to have my feet flat on the floor, eyes closed.
Good. Nice. It's a nice setup. It's a nice setup.
What I'm going
with. Great. Okay. So before we get into the technique, maybe just take 1 or 2 breaths on your own. Just taking an easy breath in, a full breath out. Just bringing your awareness to your breath. We're going to begin together with a breath out. So why don't we go ahead and just, when you're ready, take an easy breath in. And an easy breath out. Beautiful. And then we'll inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause. 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause here, hold the breath. And then exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause and hold the breath for just a moment of stillness. And exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're doing great. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause 3, 4. And exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do one more. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause here. Exhale all the way out for 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. And then just resting. So you can let the technique dissolve, let it go. Just get a sense now of your own natural cycle of breath. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the quality of your thoughts. You may be feeling a little clearer or a little brighter, a little more focused, maybe more calm, or just more present, more grounded, more here. Or maybe not, but just noticing what's true for you. And when you feel complete, you can let your eyes float open and alert yourself to the room around you, the light in the room or the shapes, the colors in the room. Just bring yourself fully here, ready for the next moment. So that was about 2 minutes. Yeah, and I'm just curious to see how it landed with you or what that was like for you, if you want to share.
Yeah, definitely. So that was actually kind of amazing for me, to be very honest, because I carry a lot of stress right here in my shoulders. So I'm one of those people who will embody that. Something I've been working on for a long time, but I was noticing, especially on this side, it just tends to tense up. And over the space of that 2 minutes, honestly, the pain went from maybe like a 4 to a 0.5. That was the biggest change that I've noticed. And so it's an amazing reminder, that the way that we feel And the thoughts that we allow ourselves to be subjected to will absolutely have physical effects for us, you know. So that was an amazing reminder. That was great. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
And I love that you brought in that breathwork tool of 4, 4, and 6, because that's a huge part of what's called, optimizing heart rate variability. Have you heard of that? Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. So in studying biofeedback, one of the things that I loved was how these tools that seem so simple, like breath work, can have such profound effects on the body. And so by optimizing our breath, we send a message up to our brain, which shifts us out of that sympathetic mode, which can be really difficult otherwise to shift out of. But through breath work, we can shift out of sympathetic into parasympathetic mode. We help oxygenate our tissues better, which helps with our metabolic rate. When we go through the practice of holding our breath for that 4 count, it actually helps us oxygenate our blood a little bit better. When we're pausing, we're letting the air enter our bloodstream, right? Rather than just blowing it out right away. And then the act of, and I'm sure you know this already too, but the act of exhaling for slightly longer than inhaling, it also helps us optimize our acid-base balance. And that also helps with our metabolic rate. I just think that I love that exercise. I love it so much.
Yeah. There's so much going on.
Yeah, totally.
There's so much happening.
Yes.
In that 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you too.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about that, or about what, your practice looks like, or how you like to help people?
One of the things that I suggest, and you were speaking earlier on in our conversation about digestion, right? And how breathing can help our digestive system turn on, because we actually need the parasympathetic branch to turn on. That's the part of the body that's responsible for feel and heal, rest and digest. So one of the things that if I was to offer just like a quick little tip or a little life hack, if you were to practice this for 2 minutes before you eat a meal, before you sit for breakfast or dinner, right, you will then be turning on the calming branch, right? So you turn on your digestive system, so that just a little bit of breathing before you eat goes a long way to really help the systems of the body and how you can support better digestive health.
Nice. That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing this tip today and that exercise. I love things like that are so simple but so profound, and that can make such a big difference for people. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Mm-hmm. All right. And thank you to everyone for joining us. If you had any good experiences with the exercise, please reach out and let us know, and have a wonderful day.